FEMA 1999 FAQs. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 1 Basic Provisions. Q1. What is FEMA as complete name? What is? Answer. FEMA Complete Name Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999 is. Q2. When will FEMA applicable happen? Answer. FEMA 1st June 2000 from applicable happened. Q3. From FEMA 1st, which one law applicable was? Answer. From FEMA 1st FERA, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973, applicable was. Q4. Bringing in FEMA of need, why did you fall? Ans. India of liberalized economy of according. Foreign trade and payments facilitate to of for. Of FERA criminal approach to removal of for. Q5. FEMA main objective what is? Ans. Foreign exchange management to easy make. External trade and payments boost give. Of India foreign exchange market to advance to do. Q6. What is FEMA? Type of law, is it civil or criminal? Ans. FEMA is a civil law whereas FERA was a criminal law. Q7. FEMA India of what area till applicable is? Ans. Whole India in. India of outside stay those Indian citizens but also some matters in. Q8. FEMA who? Who individuals but applicable would is? Ans. Resident in India. Non-resident Indians, NRIs. Companies bata firms bata LLPs. Authorized persons, banks, money changers. Q9. What is FEMA as who is an authorized person? Would is? Ans. He person or institution which is handled by RBI for foreign exchange dealings permission gave went yes, like authorized dealers, banks, money changers. Q thus. What is the meaning of resident in India in FEMA? What meaning is? Ans. He person who previous 182 days in a financial year or from him more India in remained yes, and whose intention is India in stay of yes. Q11. What are the FEMA as under how many sections are there? Answer. In FEMA total 49 sections are. Q12. FEMA administration who does is? Ans. Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Central Government. Directorate of Enforcement, ED. Q13. FEMA under on contravention what punishment is? Ans. Monetary penalty. No criminal punishment except non-payment of penalty. Q14. What is FEMA as approach? Is it regulation or facilitation? Ans. FEMA as approach is facilitation based is ain't that is restriction based. Q15. Why is FEMA areas regulates the is? Ans. Foreign exchange transactions. External trade. Capital account transactions. Current account transactions. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 2 Definitions. Q1. Who is responsible for Section 2 of FEMA? Connected is? Ans. In Section 2 of FEMA used to be those important definitions of definition gave went is. Q2. From adjudicating authority what meaning is? Ans. He officer which is part of FEMA under of contravention matters of decision does is. Q3. What is an appellate tribunal? Is. Ans. The tribunal where adjudicating authority, special director, appeals, orders of against appeal of caste is. Q4. Authorized person who would is? Ans. he person or institution which is handled by RBI for foreign exchange dealings. Permission gave went yes, like authorized dealer, bank, money changer, offshore banking unit. Q5. What is capital account transaction? Is uns a transaction which assets or liabilities of India outside or non-resident key assets. Liabilities in India affected does is Q6 है. Of current account transaction what meaning is? Uns. A transaction that is not a capital account transaction is such as import, export payments, interest, dividend, salary, travel, education, medical expenses. Q7. What is foreign exchange? Is uns. Foreign currency plus foreign credit instruments like drafts, traveler checks, etc. are called foreign exchange. Go is Q8. What is foreign currency? Would have is answer. India of currency, Indian rupee. Leaving any two country of currency is called foreign currency is Q9. From foreign security what meaning is? Uns. Securities denominated in foreign currency such as shares, bonds, debentures issued outside India. Q10. Person definition in FEMA what is? Answer. In person involved are individual, HUF, company, firm bata LLP, association of persons, artificial juridical person. Q11. Who is person resident in India? Called as uns. He person who in the previous financial year 182 days or more India in remained yes and stay of objective India in yes. Some exceptions in FEMA given went are Q12. Of repatriate to India what meaning is? Uns. Foreign exchange India back bring in and convert it into Indian currency. Q13. Service definition in FEMA what is? Uns. In service involved are banking, insurance, transport, communication, professional services, etc. Q14. From security what meaning is? Uns. Shares, stocks, bonds, debentures and other marketable instruments are called securities. Go is why section 2 important is it? Exam point of view. Answer. Because the entire interpretation of FEMA is based on these definitions. Based is in UPSC bata SSC bata customs bata GST bata law exams straight question coming are FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 3 Dealing in Foreign Exchange. Section 3 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is uns. Section 3 restrictions on dealing, transfer and payments in foreign exchange from connected is Q2. Section 3 of original principle what is? Uns. Any two-person RBI or FEMA provisions of against not dealing in foreign exchange tax can. What is Section 3A? Says is uns. Any two-person, authorized person apart from, any also not deal in, or transfer foreign exchange or foreign security tax can. Q4. Section 3B of what meaning is? Answer. India in stay one person, of a non-resident party in, of India outside any payment, payable to RBI permission of without no tax can. Q5. Section 3C is related to which but stoppage puts is? Uns. Any two-person, of some arrangement channel from by making a credit or debit entry. Section 3A or 3B do not bypass tax can. What is Section 3D? Restrictions puts is uns. Any person received foreign exchange to or for RBI's permission of without induce or assist tax can. Q7. What is Section 3? Violation, is it a crime? Answer. No. FEMA, under its civil contravention, it is not a criminal offence. Q8. What is the practical example of Section 3? Yes can is? Uns. Without RBI permission to give foreign currency loans. Hawala transaction. Unauthorized forex trading. Q9 is authorized dealer, bank, eligible for Section 3? Freewood is? Uns. No. Authorized dealer, also RBI guidelines of according only work tax can is. Q thus. Section 3 of objective what is? Uns. Illegal forex transactions prevent. Create transparency in the foreign exchange market keep. RBI as regulatory control strong to do. In Section 3 and current capital account transaction what relationship is? Uns. Section 3 on unauthorized dealing stoppage puts is indirectly regulates current and capital account transactions is. Q12. Section 3 of violation to be, but what action would have is? Uns. Monetary penalty. Adjudication proceedings. Appeal rights available. Q13. Exam by Section 3. Important is? Answer. Because FEMA as to all core restrictive provision is. Ask direct MCQs and case-based questions go are. Q14. Section 3 one line in explain. Uns. RBI's permission of without foreign exchange any also prohibited unauthorized dealing is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 4 Holding of foreign exchange. Section 4 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Uns. Section 4 India in stay those individuals by to foreign exchange, foreign security or immovable property hold own poses from connected is. Q2. Section 4 of original rule what is? Answer. India in stay 1 any person RBI's permission of without foreign exchange, foreign security of India not hold, own or poses immovable property outside tax can. Q3. Why Section 4 individuals but applicable would have is? Uns. This stream only person resident in India but applicable would have is. Q4. Does Section 4 apply to non-residents? Would have is? Uns. No. Section 4 on non-residents applicable no, it would have been. What does hold, own or poses mean in Section 4? What meaning is? Uns. Hold, your near keep. Own, ownership happen. Poses, control and happen. Q6. Does RBI have the power to pay taxes under Section 4? Grant general or special permission under can is? Answer. Yes, RBI. General permission, rules regulations channel from. Give special permission in individual cases. Can is. Q7. Section 4 under which one things involved would have are? Uns. Foreign currency. Foreign bank accounts. Shares bonds issued abroad. Of India outside property located. Give a practical example of Section 4. Uns. By resident Indian without permission foreigner bank accounts in money keep. Foreign do not inform RBI after purchasing property into do. Q9. What foreign travel from lay foreign currency under Section 4 under comes is? Ans. No, if he limits permitted by RBI of inside yes. Q thus. Section 4 of violation to be, but what result would is? Ans. Monetary penalty. Adjudication proceedings. No criminal punishment. FEMA is a civil law. Q11. In Section 3 and Section 4 main difference what is? Ans. Section 3 dealing transfer payment connected. From Section 4 holding owning possessing connected. Q12. Does Section 4 impose an absolute prohibition? Is? Ans. No. It conditional restriction is of RBI permission to meet, but it is allowed. Q13. Exam by Section 4. Important is? Answer. Because. Ask direct MCQs Goar. Section 3 of with that come comparative questions. Are. Q14. Section 4 line in explain. Ans. Resident Indian without RBI permission, no foreign exchange or foreign assets keep can. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 5. Current account transactions. Section 5 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Ans. Section 5 current account transactions from connected is. Q though. What is current account transaction? Would is? Ans. A foreign exchange transaction that no capital account transaction is, such as import bata export payments, salary, pension, interest, dividend, foreign travel, education, medical expenses. Q13. Section 5 of original principle what is? Ans. All current account transactions are allowed when till that they prohibited, restricted or regulated no yes. Q4. Section 5 under which authority controls is? Ans. Current account transactions Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Central government which jointly regulate is. Q5. Has RBI imposed restrictions on current account transactions? Can is? Answer. Yes. RBI. Certain transactions prohibit tax can is. Some to limit approval-based made can is. Q6. Section 5 of prohibited transactions under example give. Ans. Remittance of lottery winnings. Payment of speculative income. Prohibited activities connected payment. Q7. What are restricted current account transactions? Would have are? Ans. Those transactions whose for prior approval, monetary limit, special permission, required would have is. Q8. Are foreign travel expenses covered under Section 5? Coming are? Ans. Yes. Foreign travel, education and medical expenses. Current account transactions are and are generally allowed as per RBI limits under. Q no. In Section 5 and Section 3 difference tell me. Ans. Section 3 restriction on unauthorized dealing. Section 5 freedom to legitimate current account transactions. Q thus. Does Section 5 cover capital account transactions? Is. Ans. No. Capital account transactions Section 6 incoming are. Q11. Section 5 violation but what punishment is? Ans. Monetary penalty. Adjudication proceedings. No criminal punishment, civil law. Q12. Practical example of Section 5. Ans. By student foreign studies remittance of fees. Receiving export proceeds by the company. Q13. Exam by Section 5. Important is? Answer. Because. come directly from current versus capital account R. Liberalized approach tested go is Q14, Section 5(1) line in explain. Uns. Current account transactions are generally free, subject to RBI restrictions. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 6 Capital Account Transactions. Section 6 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is Uns. Section 6 Capital Account Transactions from connected is Q though. What is capital account transaction? Would is Uns. A transaction which of India outside to an asset or liability resident of create transfer to or in India to an asset or liability non-resident of create transfer to. Q3. Section 6 of original principle what is? Uns. Capital account transactions are not free are. These only limits, conditions and regulations permitted by RBI of under only are allowed. Q4. Section 6 who is the regulatory authority under is? Uns. Capital account transactions main form from Reserve Bank of India, RBI, regulates is. Q5. Does the RBI prohibit capital account transactions? Can is? Answer. Yes, RBI. To certain capital transactions prohibit tax can is. Some to limit prior approval of under keep can is. What does Section 6 2 batati is? Uns. RBI can specify this can is that. Which capital account transactions are permitted? Under what limits and conditions permitted with? In Section 6 3 which transactions mention is? Answer. In Section 6 3 for example these transactions include are investment in foreign securities, acquisition transfer of immovable property, foreign currency loans, guarantees, sureties, export-import related credit. Q8. Does Section 6 apply to both residents and non-residents? But applicable would have is? Uns. Yes. Section 6. Resident in India. Non-resident. Both but applicable would have, depending on the nature of the transaction, according. Q9. In Section 5 and Section 6 main difference what is? Uns. Section 5 current account transactions, generally free. Section 6 capital account transactions, regulated restricted. Give a practical example of Section 6. Uns. Investment in foreign shares by resident Indians. Buying immovable property in India by NRIs. Taking overseas loan by an Indian company. Q11 is the liberalized remittance scheme LRS covered under Section 6. Connected is? Uns. Yes. LRS capital account transactions of undercomes is and is regulated by RBI is. Q12. Section 6 violation but what punishment is? Uns. Monetary penalty. Adjudication proceedings. No criminal punishment. FEMA is a civil law. Q13. Exam by Section 6. Important is? Answer. Because from current versus capital account direct MCQs come are. Topics like LRAs, FDI, ODI are from this section. Connected are. Q14. Section 6(1) line in explain. Uns. Capital account transactions of RBI permission and conditions of under only did go can are. FAQ Section 7 Export of goods and services. Easy question. Answer. FAQ format in gave go doing is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 7 Export of goods services. Section 7 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 7 Export of goods and services and from them connected foreign exchange realization from connected is. Q though. Section 7 of original objective what is? Ans. This ensure to do that. Export from receive foreign exchange. Determined prescribed period in. India in repatriate did go. Q3. Section 7 under exporter S main responsibility what is? Ans. To the exporter. Giving an export declaration would is. Export proceeds to India bring in would is. By RBI fixed rules of compliance to do would is. Q4. What is an export declaration? Would have is. Ans. By the exporter gave went the declaration that. Value of goods services. Payment terms. Foreign exchange realization details. Included would have are. Q5. How many export proceeds time to bring to India would have are? Ans. This time limit Reserve Bank of India, RBI, by from time to time but determined of caste, after. The generally prescribed period, inside. Q6. Is services export also covered under Section 7? Involved is? Ans. Yes. IT services. Consultancy. Professional services are also covered under Section 7. Under comes are. What does Section 7(1) says is? Ans. Exporter by RBI realize and repatriate export proceeds in the prescribed manner and time to will be. Q art. Section 7(2) of what importance is? Ans. If the exporter does not realize the export proceeds tax if found, then 2 RBI satisfactory reason narrate will be. RBI timelines increased can is or terms put can is. Q no. Can export proceeds be transferred to a foreign account? Kept go can is? Ans. Only when. RBI as permission yes. FEMA regulations permission give. Q thus. Section 7 of violation to be but what would is? Ans. FEMA as under contraception agreed will go. Monetary penalty. Adjudication proceedings. Give a practical example of Section 7. Ans. Exporter exported goods but not payment India brought. IT company did not receive fees from foreign client of. Q12. In Section 7 and Section 5 difference what is? Ans. Section 5 current account transactions. Freedom. Section 7 compulsory realization of export proceeds. Q13. Exam why Section 7? Important is? Answer. Because from export, import direct questions related to are. FEMA compliance ask relevant case-based MCQs go are. Q14. Section 7(1) line in explain. Ans. Export from foreign exchange received fixed time bringing India into mandatory is. FAQ. Section 8. Realization and repatriation of foreign exchange. Easy question. Answer. FAQ. Format in gave go doing is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 8. Realization repatriation. Section 8 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 8 of Foreign Exchange Realization and Repatriation, India, bring in, from connected is. Q though. Section 8 of Original Obligation what but is? Ans. Which person to? Foreign exchange received to be of right to receive is, or foreign exchange received yes paid yes. That Section 8 applies to would have is. Q13. Of realization of foreign exchange what meaning is? Answer. Foreign from foreign exchange payable really in get to do, to receive. Q4. What is repatriation of foreign exchange? Would have is Ans. Foreign exchange received determined time of inside India bring in and rules of according used to do. Q5. Section 8 under person to what to do mandatory is Ans. Person to needed that he. Foreign exchange to reasonable steps take and realize. And determined time in India repatriate do. Q6. From reasonable steps what meaning is? Ans. Like this all practical efforts such as timely follow-up, legal recovery actions, contractual measures to obtain foreign exchange yes could. Q7. Realization and repatriation time limit who fixed us is? Ans. This time limit Reserve Bank of India, RBI, by rules directives of channel from fixed of caste is. In Section 7 and Section 8 difference what is? Ans. From Section 7 export of goods, services connected specific provision. Section 8 all type of foreign exchange receipts, general obligation. Q no. Does Section 8 apply only to exporters? Applicable would have is? Ans. No. It every that person but applicable would have is who receives foreign exchange happen is or get happened is. Q thus. What is the RBI time limit? Increase can is? Ans. Yes. Appropriate reason to be on RBI. Give time extension can is. Conditions imposed can is. Q11. Section 8 of violation to be, but what result would have are? Ans. FEMA S under contraception. Monetary penalty. Adjudication proceedings. Give a practical example of Section 8. Ans. Export proceeds received of after also not India bring in. Having receivables from foreign clients but no follow-up to do. Q13. Exam by Section 8. Important is? Answer. Because direct MCQs on realization versus repatriation are. Ask compliance-based case questions go are. Q14. Section 8 one line in explain. Ans. Foreign exchange to get to and fixed time to bring to India of obligation mandatory is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 9 Exemptions. Section 9 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 9 some matters in a foreign exchange realization and from repatriation exemption from connected is. Q though. Section 9 of main objective what is? Ans. Like this matters to discount give where. Bringing foreign exchange to India practical or necessary no yes or for public interest policy reasons discount gave no needed. Q13. Section 9 under discount who give can is? Ans. Discount to give of Power Reserve Bank of India, RBI, of near would have is. Q4. In Section 9 Y type of discount gave go can is? Ans. RBI matters in discount give can is. Certain classes of persons. Certain classes of foreign exchange receipts. Certain transactions or situations. Q5. Does Section 9 provide an automatic exemption? Is. Ans. No. Section no conditional exemption is. Discount RBI directions regulations of according only meets is. Q6. Section 9 under general example what are? Ans. Foreign exchange to foreign in only expenditure to of permission. From diplomats foreign missions related receipts. Specific notified incomes or receipts. Q7. In Section 8 and Section 9 what relationship is? Ans. Section 8 realization repatriation general obligation. Section 9 same obligation from exceptions. Q8. Does Section 9 cover all individuals but applicable would have is? Ans. Yes, but only those matters in who are exempted by RBI went yes. Q no. Section 9 under the exemption would have been permanent is or temporary. Uns. It is under RBI order, but dependent does is. Discount temporary or conditional yes can is. Q thus. Section 9 of violation to be, but what will be? Uns. If discount of conditions of compliance no did if it went, then. Section 8 of violation agreed will go. FEMA S under this, monetary penalty will be imposed. Q11. Give a practical example of Section 9. Uns. RBI S permission to foreign income foreign written in. Notified category receipts are not allowed in India. Bring in. Q12. Exam by section no. Important is? Answer. Because. Exception to Section 8 form in asked go is. Case-based MCQs cover the concept of RBI exemption is. Q13. Section 9 one line in explain. Uns. RBI something matters of foreign exchange in realization and from repatriation discount give can is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 10 Authorized person. Section 10 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Uns. Section 10 Authorized person AP of duties, rights and obligations from connected is. Q though authorized person who would is. Uns. He person or institution which Reserve Bank of India RBI dealing in foreign exchange by permission gave went yes. Q13. Authorized person example what are? Uns. Authorized dealers, banks, full-fledged money changers, FFMC, offshore banking units. What does Section 10 1 provision does is? Uns. Authorized person of RBI. Directions, regulations, conditions of compliance to do mandatory is. Q5. Section 10 2. According to the authorized person what responsibility is? Uns. To the authorized person it ensured to do will be that. By customer did gone transaction. FEMA and RBI rules according yes. Q6. Does the authorized person have the right to refuse the transaction? Of rights is? Uns. Yes. If. Transaction of FEMA against yes. Proper documents available no if yes. Then do AP transaction from denied tax can is. Q7. Which transactions can an authorized person handle? Can is? Uns. Current account transactions. Permitted capital account transactions. Forex remittances. Q8. Can an authorized person apply without RBI instructions? Of work tax can is? Answer. No. To AP complete as per RBI directions under work to do would is. Q no. In Section 10 and Section 3 what relationship is? Uns. Section 3 on unauthorized dealing stoppage puts is. Section 10 provides the legal framework for authorized dealing. Is. Q thus. By authorized person violation to be, but what action would have is? Uns. Suspension cancellation of RBI authorization. Monetary penalty. FEMA adjudication proceedings. Give a practical example of Section 10. Uns. By the bank making forex remittances without proper KYC. RBI limits by FFMC exchange more currency. Q12. Exam by section thus. Important is? Answer. Because. Direct MCQs on authorized versus unauthorized dealing are. Ask case questions in banking customs law exams go are. Q13. Section 10(1) line in explain. Uns. Authorized person of RBI instructions of according only foreign exchange dealings would have are. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 11. RBI's power to issue directions. Section 11 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 11 powers of RBI from connected is, whose under RBI foreign exchange connected matters in directions ongoing tax can is. Q though. Section 11 under instruction who ongoing does is. Ans. Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Authorized persons and other connected individuals to instruction ongoing does is. Q3. Which are the RBI give directions to can is. Ans. Authorized persons, banks, FFMCs. Any person dealing in foreign exchange. Any person involved in foreign security transactions. Q4. Section 11 of main objective what is? Ans. Provisions of FEMA effective implementation. In the foreign exchange market discipline and control may keep. Q5. Are RBI directions legally binding? Are? Answer. Yes. By RBI. Ongoing did the directions are mandatory and binding would have are. Q6. Section 11 under which RBI type of instruction give can is. Ans. RBI directive give can is. Do's don'ts. Procedural compliance. Documentation requirements. Limits and conditions. Q7. Can RBI suspend or restrict any transaction? Can is? Answer. Yes. RBI is responsible for public interest or policy reasons. Certain transactions restrict or temporarily suspended tax can is. Q8. In Section 10 and Section 11 what difference is? Ans. Section 10 duties of authorized person. Section 11 RBI's power to issue directions. Q9. What are the directions of RBI? Violation to be, but what will be? Ans. FEMA considered contravention will go. Monetary penalty. Authorization suspension cancellation of AP cases in. Give a practical example of Section 11. Ans. Outward remittance limits set by RBI to do. Enhanced KYC Bata reporting instructions to banks give. Q11. Are RBI directions issued from time to time? But change go can are? Answer. Yes. RBI is monitoring the economic conditions and policy. According to the directions modify update tax can is. Q12. Exam by Section 11. Important is? Answer. Because direct MCQs on RBI powers are. Section 10 of Ask Comparative Questions go are. Q13. Section 11 one line in Explain. Ans. RBI under FEMA issued under binding directions 2 of power get is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 12 Adjudication. Section 12 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 12 of FEMA under contravention of matters in adjudication of process from connected is. Q though. What is adjudication? What meaning is? Ans. Any alleged contravention investigation, hearing and penalty fixed to of legal process is called adjudication R. Q13. Who is adjudicating? Does is? Answer. By the central government appointed adjudicating authority adjudicates is. Q4. Adjudicating authority who yes can is? Ans. Assistant Director, Deputy Director, Joint Director, from Directorate of Enforcement Connected Officer. Q5. Section 12. What are the powers of the adjudicating authority under R? Ans. To the adjudicating authority rights is issue of notices of, requesting for documents evidence of, to conduct a hearing of, to impose penalty of. Q6. What is adjudication? First of hearing opportunity gave go is? Answer. Yes. Natural justice principles of person according to. To reasonable opportunity of being heard gave cast is. Q Saath. How's the penalty fixed of cast is? Ans. Nature of contravention. Amount involved. Repetition of offense. In things to attention in fixing the penalty by keeping would have is. Q Art. Is there imprisonment in adjudication? Can is? Ans. No. FEMA civil law imprisonment only. No penalty repay of situation in yes can in later sections. Q no. Whether the adjudicating authority order of an appeal is possible against is? Ans. Yes. Order of against. Appealed to appellate authority appellate. Tribunal go can is. Q thus. Section 12 and RBI role in what difference is? Ans. Reserve Bank of India, RBI, policy, permissions, directions. Section 12 adjudication and penalty of violations. Give a practical example of Section 12. Ans. Making foreign investments without RBI permission. Export proceeds time, but I don't realize to do. Q Bara. Exam by Section Bara. Important is? Answer. Because MCQs come directly from the adjudication process are. Who adjudicates under FEMA? As question asked Goar. Q Tera. Section 12 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA violations matters adjudication and penalty fixation to of procedure in Section 12 gave went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 13 Penalties. Section 13 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 13 of FEMA under contravention to be but penalty from connected is. Q though. FEMA under contravention what meaning is? Ans. FEMA, rules, regulations or Reserve Bank of India, RBI, of the directions of compliance, no doing this is called contravention is. Q13. Section 13 what is the maximum penalty under yes can is? Ans. If contravention amount quantifiable 3 times the amount. Penalty up to. If amount not quantifiable. 2 lakh penalty up to. Q4. Continuing contravention, but what is the penalty? Ans. If violation ongoing stays if so. 5,000 rupee per day of excessive punishment planted go can is. It punishment first day of after from planted go is. Q5. Who imposes the penalty? Is. Answer. By the central government appointed adjudicating authority imposes penalty is. Q6. Does Section 13 provide for imprisonment? Provision is. Ans. No. In Section 13, only monetary penalty of provision, imprisonment. Section 14 provides for non-payment of situation in yes can is. Q Saath. Will the penalty be waived or reduced? Go can is. Ans. Yes. Circumstances of base but. Appellate authority tribunal. Or compounding. Proceedings channel reduce settle the penalty can is. Q art. In Section 13 and Section 12 what difference is? Ans. Section 12 adjudication and hearing. Section 13 penalty provision. Q no. Can both the penalty company and the officers but sound can is? Ans. Yes. If the contravention company by did went if so. Company. And both the responsible officers. Should be liable can are. In later sections detailed is. Give a practical example of Section 13. Ans. Making foreign investments without RBI permission. Export proceeds time but don't repatriate to do. Q11. Exam by Section 13. Important is? Answer. Because maximum penalty under FEMA is direct MCQ. Is. Quantifiable versus non-quantifiable contradiction asked go is. Q12. Section 13 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA as violation but 3 times the amount or 2 lakh rupees penalty up to can is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 14 Enforcement of Orders. Section 14 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. ANS. Section 14 Adjudicating authority by past orders, mainly penalties, enforcement and non-payment of situation in civil imprisonment from connected is. Q though, when is Section 14 applicable would have is? Answer. When any person Section 13 of underplanted penalty imposed to. Determine time in paid no does. Then Section 14 applies would have is. Q13. Does Section 14 provide for imprisonment? Provision is? ANS. Yes, but it not criminal imprisonment, but civil imprisonment is only no penalty repay of situation in. Q4. Civil imprisonment objective what is? ANS. Of penalty ensure recovery to do. Person for payment to for compel do. Punitive no, but enforcement oriented. Q5. Civil imprisonment duration how many yes can is? ANS. If the penalty is 1 crore rupees from more is 3 years still. Other matters in 6 months still. Q6. What is imprisonment for? First hearing of opportunity get is? ANS. Yes. Person to notice and hearing reasonable opportunity gave cast is of natural justice compliance mandatory is. Q7. What penalty will I have to pay? But the imprisonment ended yes cast is? ANS. Yes. As only of penalty payment tax gave go yes. Civil imprisonment has ended. Of go can is. Q8. In Section 13 and Section 14 main difference what is? ANS. Section 13 monetary penalty provision. Section 14 penalty recovery to get of procedure, including civil imprisonment. Q9. Does Section 14 cover all FEMA violations? But applicable would have is? ANS. No. It only then applicable would have is when penalty should be imposed chuki yes and his payment no did went yes. Q thus. Section 14 of the RBI rule what is? ANS. Policy Permissions Area Reserve Bank of India RBI of is. While Section 14 focus enforcement recovery but would adjudication framework channel from. Give a practical example of Section 14. ANS. Export proceeds no bring but he was penalized. But person did payment no did civil imprisonment proceeding start. Q12. Exam why Section 14 important is? Answer. Because there are direct MCQs like is imprisonment provided under FEMA? R. Civil versus criminal imprisonment of difference asked go is. Q13. Section 14(1) line in explain. ANS. Imprisonment under FEMA is not just a penalty repay but for recovery civil imprisonment is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 15 Compounding of Contraventions. Section 15 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. ANS. Section 15 Compounding of Contravention from connected is that is without long litigation cases of settlement. Q though of compounding of contravention what meaning is? ANS. Contravention volunteering from accept tax. Fixed compounding amount of payment tax. Matters of final settlement doing this is called compounding is. Q13. Section 15 under compounding which does is? ANS. Reserve Bank of India RBI most contraventions. Central government notified authority some specific matters in. Q4. What is compounding in every contravention? Possible is? ANS. No. Only in civil contraventions, FEMA, whose serious criminal nature of no be. Q5. What is compounding? Main objective what is? Ans. Speedy disposal. Litigation less to do. Voluntary compliance boost give. Kuch hai. What is compounding by adjudication? First of Goken is? Ans. Yes. Compounding. From adjudication first or both after. Stages in of Goken is some conditions of with. Q Saath. Compounding key process what is it? Summarized in Ans. By applicant application admission. By RBI examination. Compounding amount fixed. Amount of payment. Of the case final closure. Q art. How to compound amount? Fixed of cost is? Ans. This dependent does is. Nature of contravention. Amount involved. Duration of default. Past compliance history. Q no. Compounding of after what further penalty can is? Ans. No. Compounding after. Do not re-adjudicate the same contravention would have. Case finally settled agreed go is. Q thus. Is compounding a do you have the right? Ans. No. This. Discretionary power have authority circumstances of base but accept or rejection tax can is. Q11. In sections 13, 14 and 15 what relationship is? Ans. Section 13 penalty. Section 14 recovery of penalty civil imprisonment. Section 15 penalty first or after amicable settlement. Give a practical example of Section 15. Ans. Delay in repatriating export proceeds. RBI pass by giving compounding application the matter was settled. Q13. Exam wise Section 15. Important is? Answer. Because compounding under FEMA is done by whom? Direct MCQ. Litigation versus compounding conceptual questions arise are. Q14. Section 15 one line in explain. Ans. Compounding FEMA contraventions through quick and settled amicably go can is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 16. Appellate Tribunal. Section 16 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 16 under Appellate Tribunal of Establishment of Provision is. Q2. Appellate Tribunal complete name what is? Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee. Q3. Appellate Tribunal as establishment who does is? Ans. Central Government by the Appellate Tribunal establishment of caste is. Q4. Appellate Tribunal main work what is? Ans. Adjudicating authority. Special Director. Appeals. Orders of against hearing appeals and to settle. Q5. In the Appellate Tribunal how many? Member would have are? Ans. In the tribunal generally. Chairman. Other members as prescribed. RR. Why is the structure of the tribunal mentioned in Section 16? Important is? Answer. Because it provides independent appellate mechanism is. Executive interference providing a free quasi-judicial forum does is. Q7. Is the tribunal a court? Ans. No. The appellate tribunal is a quasi-judicial body, yes, not the court. Q8. Of the decisions of the appellate tribunal importance, what is? Ans. Tribunal decision. Are binding on the parties are. Further appeal to the High Court base become canar. In Section 16 and Section 15, compounding, what difference is? Ans. Section 15 amicable settlement, compounding. Section 16 formal appellate forum, appeal. Give a practical example of Section 16. Ans. Adjudicating authority affected. Party imposed a heavy penalty appellate tribunal appeal filed in off. Q11. Exam by section 16. Important is answer because. Which authority hears appeal under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask questions on the adjudication, appeal hierarchy Goar. Q12. Section 16 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA as here appeals under of the appellate tribunal for establishment in section 16 of Ventes. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 17. Appointment of chairperson members. Section 17 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Answer. In Section 17 Appellate Tribunal of the chairperson and members appointment from connected provision given Ventar. Q2. Section 17 under of which tribunal talk of went is. Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee. Q3. Chairperson as appointment who does is. Ans. Central government by chairperson of appointment of caste is. Q4. Becoming chairperson of for what qualification required is. Ans. He person who of the High Court judge remained yes, or becoming a High Court judge of a qualified yes. Q5. Members of the tribunal appointment who does is. Ans. Members appointment to central government by of caste is. Q6. Becoming a member of a general ability what would have is. Ans. Like this person who of legal, finance, economics or administration. Sufficient knowledge and experience keeping be. As prescribed in the rules. Q7. Section 17 of objective what is. Ans. Tribunal as independence ensured to do. Competent and qualified persons appointment to do. Provide fair appellate mechanism to do. Q8. What about the chairperson and members? Tenure in Section 17 gave vent is. Ans. No. Tenure, salary and service conditions are covered under separate rules sections. Indetermined of caste are. Q no. In Section 16 and Section 17 what difference is? Ans. Section 16 of Appellate Tribunal Establishment. Section 17 Chairperson and Members Appointment. Give a practical example of Section 17. Ans. Central government has a retired High Court judge has been appointed as the chairperson of the Appellate Tribunal. Did. Q11. Exam by Section 17. Important is. Answer. Because. Who appoints chairperson under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask qualification-based questions Goar. Q12. Section 17 one line in explain. Ans. Chairperson and members of the Appellate Tribunal of FEMA appointment of provisions in Section 17 is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 18 Staff of Appellate Tribunal. Section 18 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 18 Appellate Tribunal of for necessary staff, officers and employee of appointment and arrangement from connected is. Q2. Section 18 of under of which tribunal talk of went is. Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee. Q3. Who is the staff of the tribunal? Available gets is. Ans. Central Government Tribunal work operation of for required staff available make is. Q4. What about the staff of the tribunal? Main work what would is? Ans. Processing of appeals. Of records and documents maintenance. Hearings administrative support during. Communication of orders. Q5. Is the tribunal as staff independent? Form from work does is. Answer. Yes. Staff tribunal administrative control in work does is so that. Proceeding neutral. And skilled bunny are. Q6. Are the service conditions of the staff covered under Section 18? Give and are? Ans. No. Staff. Salary. Allowances. Service conditions. Central government rules of according determined would have are. Q7. Section 18 of Objective what is? Ans. Smooth functioning of tribunal ensured to do. Appeals soon settlements in help give. Q8. In Section 16, 17 and 18 what relationship is? Ans. Section 16 of Appellate Tribunal Establishment. Section 17 Chairperson and Members Appointment. Section 18 of the Staff of the Tribunal Arrangement. Give a practical example of Section 18. Ans. Tribunal has filing counter, registry staff and record section formation. By central government did went. Q thus. Exam by Section 18. Important is? Answer. Because. From the tribunal structure direct MCQs come attached are. Section 16, 18 combined question of form in asked go is. Q11. Section 18 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA Appellate Tribunal work operation for of required staff provision in Section 18 of went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 19 Appeal to Appellate Tribunal. Section 19 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Answer. Section 19 under adjudicating authority or special director appeals of orders of against. The appellate tribunal in appeal to of provision is. Q though. Appeal in which tribunal of caste is. Ans. Appellate tribunal for foreign exchange at fee in. Q3. Who persons covered under Section 19 appeal under can is. Ans. Any two person who. Adjudicating authority order from agreed yes or special director appeals order from affected yes. Q4. Appeal filed to of what is the time limit is. Ans. 45 days of appeal filed within to do would have is. Tribunal proper reason to be but delay condone tax can is. Q5. Appeal to whom? In the format filed of caste is. Ans. In prescribed form. Required documents and fees with. Of the registry of the tribunal before. Q6. Has an appeal been filed? To get automatic stay on penalty go is. Ans. No. No automatic stay get. Stay for separate application to give would have is. Tribunal terms of stay with me can is. Q7. Is a pre-deposit required? Would is. Ans. Yes, generally. Of imposed penalty 1 prescribed percentage. Of pre-deposit form in deposit to do has to. Tribunal appropriate. Reason but exemption relief give can is. Q8. On tribunal appeal what order give can is. Ans. Tribunal. Order to confirm tax can is. Modify tax can is. Set aside tax can is. Or retorted tax can is. Q no. Whether the tribunal orders are binding are. Answer. Yes. The tribunal order binding would have there are. However ahead High Court of Appeal in right stays. Next sections. In Section 16, 17, 18 and 19 what relationship is? Ans. Section 16 of Appellate Tribunal Establishment. Section 17 Chairperson Members Appointment. Section 18 Tribunal Staff. Section 19 Appeal to Tribunal Process. Give a practical example of Section 19. Ans. Adjudicating authority imposed a penalty of 50 lakh rupees. Affected party paid 45 days of file an appeal in the ad fee within of. Q12. Exam by Section 19. Important is. Answer. Because. Direct MCQs like time limit for appeal under FEMA come are. Ask case-based questions on the appeal hierarchy go are. Q13. Section 19(1) line in explain. Ans. FEMA as adjudication orders appeal to the appellate tribunal against Section 19 gives the right is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 20 Powers of Appellate Tribunal. Section 20 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Answer. In Section 20 Appellate Tribunal to give when powers told when are those from whom he appeals to effective manner from dealt with could. Q though. Section 20 under of which tribunal talk of went is. Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee. Q3. To the Appellate Tribunal which one gain major powers are. Ans. To the tribunal rights is. Appeal to admit or reject to of. To orders confirm modify set aside to of. Case to remanded. Back. To send. Interim orders stay to give off. Q4. Does the tribunal have the same powers as a civil court? Is. Answer. Yes. To the tribunal powers like a civil court get are, such as summons issued to do, asking for evidence, accepting affidavits to do, examining witnesses. Q5. Will the tribunal apply its own procedures? Fixed tax can is. Ans. Yes. Tribunal natural justice of principles of regulate your procedure accordingly. Can not strictly bound by CPC. Q6. Will the tribunal grant a stay on the penalty? Can is. Ans. Yes. Tribunal. On the operation of penalty stay give can is. Conditions such as pre-deposit with. Q7. What are the orders of the tribunal? Nature how would have is. Ans. Orders. Of the tribunal. Speaking orders would have are. At parties binding would have are. Further appealable to the High Court would have are. Q8. In Section 19 and Section 20 what difference is? Ans. Section 19 Appeal of Rights. Section 20 on appeal decision to give of powers. Give a practical example of Section 20. Answer. The tribunal, after hearing the appeal, of penalty amount less tax gave, and on recovery stay give gave. Q thus. Exam by Section B's. Important is. Answer. Because powers of appellate tribunal under FEMA direct MCQ comes is. Ask comparative questions from civil court powers go are. Q11. Section 21 line in explain. Ans. Disposal of appeals to the FEMA appellate tribunal for granted broad quasi-judicial powers went are. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 21 Procedure of Appellate Tribunal. Section 21 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 21 Appellate Tribunal by of appeals hearing and decision of procedure from connected is. Q though. Section 21 under of which tribunal talk of went is. Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee. Q13. Is the appellate tribunal governed by the Civil Procedure Code CPC? Tidewood is. Ans. No. The tribunal is not strictly bound by the CPC. It would have been. But natural justice of principles of compliance does is. Q4. How does the tribunal conduct its procedure? Fixed as is. Ans. Tribunal. Self-regulate the procedure can is. Ensuring fair hearing and transparency does is. Q5. Tribunal appeal to how does one decide is. Ans. Parties to hearing. Of records and evidence tests by. Reasoned. Speaking. Order passed by. Q6. Can the tribunal pass interim orders, stay etc. Tax can is. Ans. Yes. Tribunal. Interim relief. Stay of recovery. Give other interim directions. Can is. Q. How does the tribunal decide? Take and go is if in the bench difference is yes. Ans. If the members between difference is yes, then. From majority view decision taken go is. Or the matter is referred to a larger bench go can is. Q. Are the orders of the tribunal binding? Are? Answer. Yes. Tribunal orders are binding. Would have there are. However, ahead High Court of Appeal in right stays, Section 35 of under. Q. No. In Section 20 and Section 21 what difference is? Ans. Section B's powers of tribunal. Section 21 of those powers use of procedure. Give a practical example of Section 21. Ans. The tribunal both sides to listen. Examine the evidence. One speaking order passed it. Q. 11. Exam by Section 21. Important is? Answer. Because. Is that bound by CPC? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask comparative questions from powers versus procedure Goar. Q. 12. Section 21 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA Appellate Tribunal has its own procedure fixed as is and natural justice compliance does is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 22 Distribution of business among benches. Section 22 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 22 Appellate Tribunal of various benches between business matters distribution from connected is. Q. Though. Section 22 under of which tribunal talk of went is. Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange, ADFI. Q. 3. Benches who distributes the business between does is. Ans. Chairperson to it power would have is that he. Appeals bata cases to. In different benches allocate transfer do. Q. 4. Section 22 of main objective what is? Ans. Of workload similar distribution. Of appeals fast and skilled settlement. Ensure administrative efficiency to do. Q. 5. Will the chairperson hear any case? From a bench transfer to another bench can is? Answer. Yes. Chairperson. For administrative reasons. By. Transferring the case for convenience of parties' interest of justice can is. Q. 6. Do parties have the right to choose the bench? Of rights would is? Answer. No. Bench allocation complete. Kind administrative control of tribunal in would is. Q. 7. In Section 21 and Section 22 what difference is? Ans. Section 21 appeals hearing procedure of. Section 22 benches between matters distribution of. Give a practical example of Section 22. Ans. If more cases on a bench pending if. So, the chairperson may transfer some appeals to another bench. Gives is. Q. No. Does Section 22 give judicial power? Is or administrative? Ans. Section 22 administrative power gives yes, not judicial. Q. Thus. Exam by section wise. Important is? Answer. Because. Who distributes business among benches under FEMA? Ask MCQs like administrative versus judicial power go are. Q. 11. Section 22 one line in explain. Ans. In the FEMA Appellate Tribunal matters of delivery by chairperson in different benches did go is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 23 Power to take evidence. Section 23 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 23 adjudicating authority to take evidence of power provide does is. Q. Though. Section 23 under whom to take evidence of rights is. Answer. FEMA under appointed adjudicating authority to. Q3 of power to take evidence what meaning is? Ans. In this rights involved are to the witnesses to call, requesting documents, on oath statement take, evidence record to do. Q4. Does the adjudicating authority have powers like a civil court? R. Answer. Yes. Section 23 under this Act, the adjudicating authority has powers like a civil court. Gave vent are such as summons issued to do, asking for evidence, witness examination. Q5. Section 23 of main objective what is? Ans. Contravention matters of effective investigation. Facts and records base, but fair adjudication ensure to do. Q6. What person present evidence to two of opportunity gave go is? Answer. Yes. Natural justice principles of person according to present evidence to and own party keeping of opportunity get is. Q7. Does Section 23 only extend to documentary evidence? Limited is? Ans. No. In this involved are documentary evidence, oral evidence, affidavits, statements on oath. Q8. In Section 12 and Section 23 what relationship is? Ans. Section 12 adjudication process. Section 23 same process in collect evidence of power. Give a practical example of Section 23. Ans. Adjudicating authority. Get bank records. Company officials were summoned. Statements record tax penalty fixed off. Q thus. Section 23 of violation to but what result yes can is? Ans. If any person. Summons की disregard does is. Providing evidence from refusal does if. So it adverse inference in adjudication of reason become can is. Q11. Exam by Section 23. Important is? Answer. Because. Which authority can take evidence under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. From civil court powers, ask related conceptual questions go are. Q12. Section 23 one line in explain. Ans. Under FEMA, the adjudicating authority has been given powers similar to a civil court to collect evidence. Of Section 23 gives the right is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 24. Search, seizure related powers. Section 24 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Answer. In Section 24 search, seizure and inspection from connected powers gave went so that FEMA violations of effective test yes could. Q though. Section 24 who has the power of search and seizure under gave went is? Ans. This power Directorate of Enforcement, ED, of officials to gave went is. Q3. Search and seizure objective what is? Ans. Of FEMA contraventions address placement. Relevant documents, records and assets safe to do. Evidence to destroy to be from prevent. Q4. Section 24 under search when of go can is? Ans. When the authorized officer reasonable belief yes that FEMA as violation happened having more documents evidence hidden or destroyed did go can is. Q5. Of reasonable belief what meaning is? Ans. Facts and circumstances base but made objective belief. Know that only suspicion or estimate. Q6. Section 24 under what all was seized go can is? Ans. Account books. Documents bata records. Foreign exchange. Other relevant articles. Q7. Can a search be conducted without a warrant? Of go can is? Answer. Yes. FEMA authorized officer. Under statutory power of base by searching on can. But according to the prescribed procedure and safeguards with. Q8. Search and seizure after what process would have is? Uns. Of seized items inventory made cast is. Ahead adjudication proceeding start of cast are. Evidence of base, but penalty is fixed yes can is. Q no. Are seized documents always of a keep go can are? Uns. No. Documents only prescribed period till only keep go can are. His return afterward is when till need no yes. Q thus. In section 23 and section 24, what difference is? Uns. Section 23 taking evidence of power during adjudication. Section 24 in the investigation stage search and seizure of power. Give a practical example of section 24. Answer. Ed information found that a company carrying out illegal forex transactions doing ed search the office and seized documents and records. Because who can search and seize under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask questions on reasonable belief and procedural safeguards Goar. Q Tera. Section 24 one line in explain. Uns. FEMA violations of test of ed ordered search and seizure for power in section 24 gave went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ section 25 procedure for search seizure. Section 25 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Uns. Section 25 section 24 of under of went of search and seizure procedure to determined does is. Q though. Section 25 of main objective what is? Uns. Search seizure legal and transparent make. Person of rights of safeguards ensure to do. Q3. Section 25 under search who does is? Uns. Search Directorate of Enforcement, ed. Authorized officers of. By of cast is. Q4. Search time by procedures of compliance necessary is. Uns. Of the authorized officer identification. Search of proper authorization. 5 witnesses of appearance. Of seized items inventory make. Q5. Was a receipt given for the seized documents? Cast is? Answer. Yes. Person documents records seized from go yes. Him is duly signed receipt gave cast is. Q6. Search during person of what rights would have are? Uns. Get a copy of the search memo inventory to do. Of seized items list look. Procedural fairness expectation to do. Q7. Are seized documents always seized by the ed? Near livar? Uns. No. Documents only prescribed period till keep go can are. Need end to be but return to do would is. Q8. In section 24 and section 25 what difference is? Uns. Section 24 search seizure power. Section 25 search seizure procedure. Give a practical example of section 25. Uns. Ed search conducted at a firm S premises. Documents seized. Inventory prepared gave receipt to the firm went. Q thus. Section 25 of violation to be, but what effect has to is? Uns. If the prescribed procedure is followed compliance no did if it went, then. Search key on legality question get up can is. Weak evidence in adjudication fall can is. Q11. Exam by section 25. Important is? Answer. Because direct MCQs like procedure of search under FEMA come are. Section 24 of with pair question asked go is. Q12. Section 25 one line in explain. Uns. FEMA has search and seizure process and safeguards in section 25 determined are. FEMA 1999 FAQ section 26 appeal to High Court. Section 26 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Answer. Section 26 under Appellate Tribunal of Orders of Against Appeal in the High Court 2 of provision is. Q2. Appeal to whom? Order of against of Goken is? Ans. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee by past final order of against. Q3. Who persons covered under Section 26 appeal to the High Court under can is? Ans. Any two person which is of the tribunal order from agreed yes. Q4. Which High Court appeals? Base but of Goken is? Ans. Appeal only question of law but of Goken is NT. It that the facts on reappreciation of facts. Q5. Appeal filed to of time limit what is? Ans. 60 days of appeal filed in the High Court within to do would have is. High Court is sufficient reason to be but delay condone tax can is. Q6. In which High Court is the appeal filed? Of caste is? Ans. The High Court whose territorial jurisdiction in appellant resides carries on business or cause of action produced happened yes. Q7. Is there an automatic stay on the penalty in a High Court appeal? Go is? Ans. No. No automatic stay get. Stay for separate application to give would have is. Q8. In High Court appeal what order give can is? Ans. High Court. The order of the tribunal confirm tax can is. Modify set aside tax can is. Matter to tribunal retorted tax can is. Q no. In Section 19 and Section 26 main difference what is? Ans. Section 19 adjudication order appeal in the tribunal against. Section 26 tribunal order appeal in High Court against. Give a practical example of Section 26. Ans. The tribunal confirmed the penalty. The party raised the question of law appeal filed in the High Court of. Q11. Exam by Section 26. Important is? Answer. Because appeal under FEMA lies to which court? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Question of law versus question of fact ask conceptual questions on GOR. Q12. Section 26 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA appellate tribunal orders of against appeal to the High Court only on a question of law. Section 26 provides is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 27. Enforcement of appellate tribunal orders. Section 27 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 27 appellate tribunal by past orders of enforcement to get it done from connected is. Q2. Section 27 of main objective what is? Ans. This ensure to do that the appellate tribunal order. Effective form from applicable be. Only papery order by becoming no stay visit. Q3. Appellate tribunal order how to enforce GOR? Ans. Tribunal orders to enforce like this go is as they. Decree of civil court yes. Q4. Who is enforcement? Does is? Ans. Concerned authorities, recovery machinery. In the prescribed manner according to. Orders to applicable karate are. Q5. If the tribunal confirms the penalty if yes, then how to recover it? Will it happen? Ans. Recovery. Of penalty. Civil court decree kind. Attachment. Recovery proceedings channel from. Goken is. Q6. Will the tribunal itself make the recovery? Is. Ans. No. Tribunal judicial function does is. Recovery enforcement mechanism of channel from would have is. Q7. In Section 14 and Section 27 what difference is? Ans. Section 14 enforcement of orders of adjudicating authority. Section 27 enforcement of orders of appellate tribunal. Q8. Is the High Court appeal pending? To be enforcement stopped castes? Ans. No. When till. By the High Court stay no gave went yes. Give a practical example of Section 27. Ans. Tribunal confirmed a penalty of 10 lakh rupees. Order was accepted as a civil court decree execute recovery like this went. Q thus. Exam by Section 27. Important is? Answer. Because. How are tribunal orders enforced under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask Section 14 verses 27 comparative questions Goar. Q11. Section 27 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA appellate tribunal order of civil court decree enforced as Goar. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 28. Procedure of Special Director. Appeals. Section 28 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Ans. Section 28 Special Director. Appeals. By of appeals hearing and procedure from connected is. Q2. Special Director. Appeals. Who would is? Ans. Special Director. Appeals is the appellate authority whom. Adjudicating authority some. Orders of against. First appeal listens is. Q3. Section 28 under of which authority process told went is? Ans. Special Director. Appeals. Of. Q4. Special Director. Appeals. Type here's appeals from is. Ans. Parties to reasonable opportunity of being heard by giving. Of records and evidence tests by. Speaking order passed by doing. Q5. Is the Special Director. Appeals. Bound by the CPC? Is. Answer. No. This. Authority also not strictly bound by the Civil Procedure Code would have been. But natural justice of principles of compliance does is. Q6. With Special Director. Appeals. Order near tax can is. Ans. He. Order to confirm tax can is. Modify tax can is. Set aside tax can is. Or to the matter retorted tax can is. Q7. Should the Special Director. Appeals. Give interim relief? Can is? Answer. Yes. Appropriate. Matters in. Interim directions. Give stay of operation. Can is. Q8. In Section 19 and Section 28 what difference is? Ans. Section 19 Appeal in Appellate Tribunal. Section 28 Special Director. Appeals of appeal before procedure. Q9. Special Director. Appeals. Order of against where is the next appeal? Castes? Ans. His order of against. Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange appealed in caste. Section 19 of under. Give a practical example of Section 28. Ans. The adjudicating authority imposed a penalty. The party appealed to the Special Director. Appeals. The order was modified. Gave went. Q11. Exam by Section 28. Important is? Answer. Because. First appeal under FEMA lies before whom? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask comparative questions from Special Director. Appeals versus Tribunal Goar. Q12. Section 28 one line in explain. Ans. Appeals by the Special Director. Appeals in FEMA hearing of procedure in Section 28 gave went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 29. Appeal to Special Director. Appeals. Section 29 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Answer. Section 29 under adjudicating authority of some? Orders of against. Special Director. Appeals of before appeal to of provision is. Q2. Appeal to which authority? Near of caste is? Ans. In front. Q3. Who persons covered under Section 29 appeal under can is? Ans. Any two person who. Adjudicating authority order from agreed yes and whose case special director appeals within the jurisdiction of comes yes. Q4. Section 29 of appeal under time limit what is? Ans. 45 days of appeal filed within to do would have is. Sufficient reason to be but delay condoned did go can is. Q5. Section 29 under which one's orders are appealable are? Ans. By the adjudicating authority passed the orders. Whose for law in special director appeals created the first appellate forum went is. Q6. Has an appeal been filed to but get automatic stay on penalty go is? Ans. No. No automatic stay get. Stay for separate application to give would have is. Q7. Special director appeals on appeal what order give can is? Ans. He. Order to confirm tax can is. Modify tax can is. Set aside tax can is. Or case to retorted tax can is. Q8. In Section 29 and Section 19 what difference is? Ans. Section 29 first appeal to special director appeals. Section 19 appeal to appellate tribunal for foreign exchange. Give a practical example of Section 29. Ans. Adjudicating authority imposed penalty. Party paid 45 days in special director appeals of appeal filed before of. Q thus. Exam by Section 29. Important is? Answer. Because first appeal under FEMA lies before whom? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask conceptual questions on appeal hierarchy Goar. Q11. Section 29 one line in explain. Ans. Adjudicating authority in FEMA orders of against the special director appeals pass of appeal Section 29 gives the right is. FEMA Section 29. Quick revision. Exam ready. SEC Tyon 29 of subject. Adjudicating authority sum. Orders of against. Special director. Appeals. Of before first appeal. First appeal. Where to appeal filed would have is. Special director. Appeals. Who can appeal can is? Any two aggrieved person. Whose case is the jurisdiction of the special director. Appeals arises in yes. Time limit. Very important. 45 days of internal appeal. On sufficient cause delay condone yes can is. You too dicey stay? No. Apart from stay application to give would have is. POWERS of special director. Appeals. Order confirmation. Modify. Set aside. Remand. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 30. Revision by High Court. Section 30 of FEMA subject from connected is? Answer. Section 30 under revision by the High Court provision is by which of subordinate appellate orders legality and correctness of check yes could. Q though. Revision of meaning what is? Ans. In revision, the High Court sees is that order law of according is or no. Any jurisdictional error or procedural irregularity. So no is. Q3. Section 30 under which amendment orders of against yes can is? Ans. By appellate authorities passed this way order. In which legal error or procedural drawback of blame yes. Q4. In revision and appeal what difference is? Ans. Appeal facts and law both, but reconsideration. Revision mainly question of law jurisdiction, but limited check. Q5. Who amended Section 30? Admission tax can is? Ans. Any two aggrieved person or Sometimes authority also, if law circumstance permission give. Q है. Will the revision require facts? Again check would have is. Ans. Generally no. In revision, the High Court reappreciates the facts. Survives is and legal errors but focus stays is. Q साथ. Revision filed 2 of time limit what is? Answer. Specific limitation is clear in FEMA. No is common manner but reasonable time and High Court rules according filed of cast is. In Section 26, appeal to High Court and Section 3rd difference what is? Ans. Section 26 tribunal order against appeal, only question of law. Section 30 revision on supervisory jurisdiction, legality procedure focus. Q no. In the High Court revision what order given is? Ans. High Court. Order to set aside tax can is. Modify tax can is. Or cases to fresh consideration of a back send can is. Give a practical example of Section 30. Answer. If the appellate authority has by jurisdiction outside going order passed if done, then the aggrieved party will be revision filed in the High Court under tax can is. Q11. Exam was Section 30. Important is? Answer. Because appeal versus revision of difference asked go is. MCQs on supervisory powers of High Court are. Q12. Section 31 line in explain. Ans. In FEMA, the High Court has to examine the legality and correctness of the appellate orders. Section 30 gives revisional power of his. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 31. Cognizance of contravention. Section 31 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 31 this batati is that FEMA as contravention of cognizance how and whose by taken will go. Q though. What is cognizance? What meaning is? Ans. Someone violation to formal form from notice in take and that legal on. Proceeding start doing this is called cognizance is. Q13. Section 31. Who is under cognizance take can is? Ans. Only take the same authority cognizance can is who. FEMA is under authorized empowered be, such as an adjudication or enforcement framework under officer. Q4. What any two-person FEMA directly in court case take go can is? Answer. No. Under FEMA. Criminal prosecution as direct cognizance no case. First adjudication mechanism from passes is. Q5. Section 31 of objective what is? Ans. Unauthorized frivolous proceedings prevent. FEMA as civil nature to make keep. Ensure structured adjudication to do. In Section 31 and CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, what difference is? Ans. CRPC cognizance of criminal offences. Section 31, FEMA, structured cognizance of civil contraventions. Q7. Does Section 31 make FEMA a criminal law? Is? Answer. No. FEMA is clear. Form from Civil Law Section 31. Only procedure control does is. Give a practical example of Section 31. Ans. Someone person has implemented FEMA regulations of violation did. Ed did case examined. By the adjudicating authority taking cognizance and starting proceedings of. Q no. In Section 12 and Section 31 what relationship is? Ans. Section 12 adjudication process. Section 31 of the same adjudication for taking cognizance of base. Q thus. Exam by Section 31. Important is? Answer. Because. Is FEMA a criminal law? Like conceptual MCQs come are. asked distinction on cognizance versus adjudication go is Q11. Section 31 one line in explain. Ans. Cognizance of FEMA contraventions only act in by the prescribed authorities only taken go can is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 32. Presumption of mens rea. Section 32 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Answer. In Section 32 mens rea, defective intent guilty mind of presumption of provision is. Q though. What is mens rea? What meaning is? Ans. Someone law of violation to intentionally, knowingly or negligence from to do called mens rea is. Q13. Section 32 of original principle what is? Ans. FEMA as under it presumed go is that contravention mens rea with did went is. When till that adverse provend no tax gave go. Q4. Why presume mens rea did went is? Ans. Enforcement easy make of for. From technical excuses avoid of for. Compliance with economic laws strong to of for. Q5. What is this presumption rebuttable? Answer. Yes. Person to it opportunity gave go is that he evidence of channel from it proven do that. Violation intentionally no did went was. Kuch hai. Burden of proof is but would is. Ans. Section 32 reason. Burden of proof of the accused but would is anti. It on that authority. Q7. Does Section 30 to make FEMA a criminal law? Is A. No. However, mens rea presume that caste is. Then also FEMA civil law only made stays is. In Section 32 and Section 13, penalty, what relationship is? Ans. Section 32 presumption of mens rea. Section 13 penalty for the same contravention provision. Give a practical example of Section 32. Ans. If any company has applied for RBI approval if without foreign investment agreed will go that it intentionally did went is. When by company it proven no tax give that this was a bona fide mistake. Q thus. Exam by Section 32. Important is? Answer. Because there are direct MCQs like is mens rea required under FEMA? Are. From burden of proof ask related conceptual questions go are. Q11. Section 32 one line in explain. Ans. At FEMA violation to mens rea as with did went agreed go is. When till that adverse prevent no yes go. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 33. False statement obstruction. Section 33 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 33 false statement, incorrect information to give, or officials of work in obstruction insert, but punishment from connected is. Q though. Section 33 under who all from act punishable are. Ans. Intentionally false statement give. Suppression of material facts. Submit the required documents records no to do. In search, inspection or adjudication obstruction to do. Q13. Section 33 of objective what is? Ans. FEMA proceedings truthfulness and impartiality may keep. Investigation judicial process in collaboration ensure to do. Q4. What is Section 33? Mens rea necessary is? Ans. Yes, usually it knowingly did went acts but applicable would have, although Section 32 of. Reason presumption of mens rea applies stays is. Q5. Section 33 under what is the penalty is? Ans. FEMA as under monetary penalty sound can is. Of penalty determination adjudicating authority circumstances of base but does is. Kuch hai. Under Section 23/24 with Section 33 of what relationship is? Ans. Section 23/24 evidence taking, search seizure. Section 33 in procedures and lies, obstructions, insert but punishment. QSAT. Is Section 33 an independent contravention? Ans. Yes. It original FEMA violation from separate. Procedural for a false statement obstruction for independent form from applicable yes can is. Give a practical example of Section 33. Ans. Test of concealment of bank records during. On summons present, no happen and wrong information give. Q no. Does Section 33 provide for imprisonment? Provision is? Answer. No. FEMA. Similarly, Section 33 also civil penalty of provision does. Imprisonment only. On non-payment of penalty as per Section 14, comes is. Q thus. Exam why Section 33? Important is? Answer. Because there are direct MCQs like penalty for false statement under FEMA. R. On procedural compliance versus substantive violation question ask GOAR. Q11. Section 33 one line in explain. Ans. In FEMA proceedings liar statement to give or officials of work in obstacle insert, but Section 33 of the Penal Code under planted go is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 34 Offences by companies. Section 34 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 34 companies by did FEMA contraventions and his liability from connected is. Q though. Section 34 of original principle what is? Ans. If any contravention company by did went if so, company himself and they all person who that time of the company as business for in charge were. Both liable will be. Q13. Person in charge of the company who agreed go is. Ans. Such person who. Company as day-to-day affairs controlled does yes. Like managing director, whole-time director, manager. Q4. What all directors are automatically liable go are? Ans. No. Only those directors' officers will be liable whom contraventions time in charge and responsible were. Q5. Director officer from his liability, how escape can is? Ans. If he had proven tax give that. Contraventional her of knowledge without happened or he violation prevent of a due diligence bharti was. Q6. What does Section 34 2 बताती is? Ans. If contravention of a director manager officer, consent, connivance or neglect from happened yes, then he personal form liable to will be. Q7. Section 34 of objective what is? Ans. Corporate whale back, secretly violation prevent. Management as accountability ensure to do. In Section 34 and Section 32, mens re, what relationship is? Ans. Section 32 presumption of mens re. Section 34 companies and the vicarious liability of their officers. Give a practical example of Section 34. Ans. The company has applied for RBI approval without foreign investment. Company liable. The managing director and the concerned officer are also liable when by proving due diligence no, do it. Q thus. Does Section 34 provide for imprisonment? Provision is? Ans. No. This. Also FEMA other provisions of kind civil liability from connected is. Q11. Exam by Section 34. Important is? Answer. Because Who is liable when offense is committed by company? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Ask conceptual questions on vicarious liability Goar. Q12. Section 34 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA violations company by to be but company and both the responsible officers are under Section 34 liable under R. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 35 Appeal to High Court. Section 35 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is Ans. Section 35 under Appellate Tribunal for Foreign Exchange at fee of orders of appeal in High Court against. 2 of provision is Q2. Appeal to whom? Order of against of caste is Answer. At fee by past final order of against. Q3. Who is a citizen of India under Section 35? Appeal under can is Ans. Any to aggrieved person who is called a member of the tribunal. Order from damage reached yes. Q4. Appeal to whom? Base but of go can is Ans. Appeal only question of law but of go can yes. The facts reappreciation of facts but no. Q5. Appeal filed 2 of time limit what is? Ans. 60 days of appeal filed within to do would have is. Sufficient reason to be but High Court delay condone tax can is. Q6. In which High Court the appeal was filed? Will it happen? Ans. He High Court whose territorial jurisdiction in appellant resides occupies does is or cause of action produced happened yes. Q7. Has an appeal been filed to get automatic stay on penalty go is? Ans. No. For separate application to give would have is. High Court conditions of stay with me can is. In High Court Section 35, what order give can is? Ans. High Court. Tribunal order to confirm tax can is. Modify set aside tax can is. Or cases to fresh consideration of to the tribunal for retorted tax can is. Q no. In Section 26 and Section 35, what difference is? Ans. Section 26 of Tribunal Order of Appeal in High Court against earlier reference. Section 35 in FEMA Final Appellate Provision of Form in High Court Appeal on question of law. In exams, generally Section 35 is known as Appeal to High Court. Form in asked go is give a practical example of Section 35. Ans. Ad fee confirmed the penalty gave. Party question of law picking up appeal filed in the High Court of. Q11. Exam wise section 35. Important is answer. Because final appeal under FEMA lies to which court? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Question of law versus question of fact ask conceptual questions on GOR. Q12. Section 35 one line in explain. Ans. Appellate Tribunal in FEMA orders of against appeal to the High Court only on a question of law Section 35 provides is FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 36 Power of Central Government to make rules. Section 36 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is Answer. Section 36 under Central Government 2. FEMA provisions to applicable to of for making rules of power gave went is. Q though. Section 36 of main objective what is? Ans. To FEMA practical form from operational make. To procedural matters clear to do. Administration and enforcement smooth to do. Q13. Who rules makes is it RBI or central government? Ans. Section 36 Central Government makes rules is. Section 47 RBI makes regulations is. It difference the exam very important would is. Q4. Who is the central government? Subjects but make rules can is. Ans. Central government rules made can is, such as procedure of adjudication, format and fees of appeals, civil imprisonment procedure, enforcement and recovery process. Q5. What is the purpose of Section 36? Under the rules made would be binding are? Answer. Yes. By the central government. Make rules statutorily. Binding would have are. Q6. What about without rules? Parliament of information of make gokenar? Ans. No. Under. Section 36 under the rules made by Parliament before kept go mandatory. Laying before Parliament. Q7. In Section 36 and Section 37 what difference is? Ans. Section 36 making of rules power of. Section 37 rules to be amended by Parliament front keeping of process. Give a practical example of Section 36. Ans. The central government has framed the adjudication rules and appeal rules to regulate FEMA proceedings. Go could. Q no. Are the rules related to the FEMA Act? Above would have are? Ans. No. Rules always. Under the FEMA Act subordinate legislation would have are. Q thus. Exam by Section 36? Important is? Answer. Because who makes rules under FEMA? Direct MCQ comes is rules versus regulations, CG versus RBI. Asked for comparison of Go is Q11. Section 36 one line in explain. Ans. To FEMA applicable to of central government to make rules for this of power in Section 36 gave went is FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 37 Laying of rules before Parliament. Section 37 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Answer. In Section 37 by the central government make rules to the Parliament of India of before laying of process told went is Q though rules are enacted by Parliament. Front why kept go is? Ans. Parliamentary oversight ensure to or for. By executive make went by the rules democratic control make keeping of for. Q13. How many rules time off for the Parliament front keep go are? Ans. Rules 30 days in total or for the Parliament front kept go is or one from in more sessions. Q4. If in the Parliament rules shift once is so what would is? Ans. If both houses agreed if yes, then rule to modify did go can is or annul, cancelled, did go can is. Q5. Amendment annulment by Parliament what effect would is? Ans. Modification annulment future from prospective effective would have is. First did went work invalid no would have. Q6. In Section 36 and Section 37 what relationship is? Ans. Section 36 central government to make rules power of. Section 37 the same rules are to be amended by the Parliament. Front keeping of process. Q7. Does Section 37 apply to RBI regulations? Two applicable would have is? Ans. No. Section 37 only central government rules but applicable would have RBI regulations. For apart provision, Section 48. Give a practical example of Section 37. Ans. The central government framed the FEMA adjudication rules. They were passed by the Parliament. Both houses before 30 days offer kept went. Q no. Why Section 37 important? Exam point of view. Answer. Because rules under FEMA are laid before whom? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Rulemaking power plus parliamentary control. Ask the concept of go is. Q thus. Section 37 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA as by the central government under make the rules were put under parliamentary scrutiny. Section 37 of the According to Parliament Front kept go is FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 38 Delegation of Powers. Section 38 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is UNS. Section 38 under central government too. FEMA under get own delegate powers of power gave went is. Q though of delegation of powers what meaning is? Answer. When any the higher authority, central government. Some powers any other authority to surrender gives is. So that work more efficiently did go could. Q3. To whom does the central government delegate its powers? Can is? Uns. Central government can delegate powers can is. Reserve Bank of India, RBI, to any other authority or officer to, as in the notification specified yes. Q4. What all powers of the delegate go can are? Uns. No, only. The same powers of the delegate go can who are. By act or notification allowed yes. Q5. Delegation of main objective what is? UNS. Day-to-day administration easy make. Technical matters expert bodies like RBI to assign. Ensure speedy decision making to do. Q6. Is the delegation permanent? Is. UNS. No. Delegation. Conditional yes can is. Withdraw modify of go can is. Under government control under stays is. Q7. In sections 36, 38 and 47 what difference is? UNS. Section 36 of central government making rules power off. Section 38 of central government to delegate powers power off. Section 47 RBI making regulations power off. Give a practical example of Section 38. UNS. The central government has delegated some FEMA compliance-related powers to the RBI, given so that foreign exchange matters can be addressed. Better regulated go could. Q no. Does delegation eliminate the responsibility of the central government? Yes, Castus? Answer. No. The ultimate responsibility lies with the central government. Only stay says. Q thus. Exam by section artis? Important is? Answer. Because can central government delegate its powers under FEMA? Direct MCQs on CG versus RBI powers are. Q11. Section 38 one line in explain. UNS. FEMA as to the central government under to delegate their powers to other authorities of power in Section 38 gave went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 39 Power to issue directions. Section 39 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. UNS. Section 39 under central government too. FEMA objectives of fulfillment for directions issued to of power gave went is. Q though. Who are the directions? Ongoing does is. UNS. Central Government of India. Q3. Who is directions? Given go can are. UNS. Central Government instructions give can is. Reserve Bank of India, RBI, to any to other authority officer. From the implementation of FEMA connected matters in Q4. Section 39 of Objective what is? UNS. National Economic Policy conform to FEMA operation. Ensuring public interest and macroeconomic stability to do. Coordinated implementation, CGRBI. Q5. What these directions would be legally binding? Are? Answer. Yes. Section 39 under continued directions binding would have are and. Their compliance to do mandatory is. In Section 11, RBI directions and Section 39 difference what is? UNS. Section 11 RBI's power to issue directions to authorized persons. Section 39 power of central government to issue directions to RBI authorities. Q7. Does the central government interfere in the day-to-day functions of the RBI? Interference give can is? Ans. No. Policy level directions would have are of RBI. Operational independence to generally make kept go is. Give a practical example of Section 39. Ans. Central government from foreign exchange policy, something connected. Broad policy directions to RBI ongoing did. Q no. In Section 38 and Section 39 what difference is? Ans. Section 38 powers of delegation. Section 39 powers of use do happen directions issued to do. Q thus. Exam why Section 39? Important is? Answer. Because. Who can issue directions under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Comparative question of CG versus RBI powers asked go is. Q11. Section 39 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA as effective implementation for this. The central government has to giving binding directions to other authorities of Section 39 gives power is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 40. Suspension of operation. Section 40 of FEMA subject from connected is? Answer. In Section 40 central government to it power gave went is that he extraordinary circumstances FEMA as some provisions of to the operation temporary form from suspended tax code. Q though. What is the suspension? What meaning is? Ans. Someone provision of legal effect to temporary form from stoppage give, not that him to repeal. Q13. Section 40 under suspension when did go can is? Answer. When the central government opinion in public interest necessary yes, or extraordinary economic financial circumstances if yes. Then suspension is done go can is. Q4. Which suspension does is? Ans. Central government by notification of channel from. Q5. Is the suspension applicable to the entire FEMA system? Applicable yes can is? Ans. No. Suspension is available in whole act or any special provision transaction class till limited yes can is, as in the notification told go. Q6. Suspension duration what would have is? Ans. Temporary is. In notification period conditions specified would have are. Need no stay remove the suspension on gave go is. Q7. Suspension and repeal what difference is? Ans. Suspension temporary stoppage. Repeal permanent termination. Q8. What about suspension? First it went work affected would have are? Ans. No. When in the notification till specific form from no said went yes. Common manner suspension prospective would is. Q no. In Section 39 and Section 40 what difference is? Ans. Section 39 of Central Government Directions issued to of power. Section 40 FEMA provisions operation to temporary form suspend from to of power. Give a practical example of Section 40. Ans. Severe forex market stress during this period, the central government. Relevant FEMA provisions temporary suspension did. Q11. Exam why Section 40? Important is? Answer. Because. Direct MCQs on emergency exceptional powers are. The conceptual question of suspension versus repeal asked go is. Q12. Section 41 line in explain. Ans. Extraordinary circumstances in central government FEMA some. Provisions of operation to temporary form from suspended tax can is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 41. Other laws not barred. Section 41 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Ans. Section 41 this clear does is that FEMA as provision any other law of applicable to be to no stopping. Q though. Application of other laws not barred what meaning is? Ans. If any work transaction but FEMA implemented would having more. Any other laws like Companies Act, Customs Act, Income Tax Act etc. also applicable would if so. Both law parallel form from applicable will remain. Q3. Is FEMA applicable to be from other law be overridden goar? Ans. No. Under Section 41 according to FEMA, there is no exclusive or overriding law is. Q4. Introducing Section 41 of need why did you fall? Ans. From legal ambiguity avoid a for. It clear to off for that FEMA compliance to person from. Other laws of violation from free no, yes go. What is the practical implication of Section 41? Is Ans. One on the same transaction. FEMA SB adjudication penalty under can having more. Any other laws, such as customs income tax, under two action yes can is. Kuch hai. What this is considered double jeopardy. Will you go? Answer. No. Because FEMA civil law is other laws of objective and nature apart yes can are. Q7. In Section 41 and Section 42 what difference is? Ans. Section 41 FEMA others laws to not a bar does. Section 42 of FEMA provisions of overriding effect were clear form from gave went yes. In exams this distinction is very asked go is. Give an example of Section 41. Ans. Illegal forex transaction FEMA penalty. On the same transaction Income Tax Act under proceedings. Both together ambulatory can are. Q no. Exam wise Section 41. Important is? Answer. Because direct MCQs like does FEMA bar other laws? Are asked overriding effect versus non-bar concept go is. Q thus. Section 41 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA as compliance to from other applicable laws of under obligation and no who have been Section 41 this clear does is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 42 overriding effect. Section 42 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Ans. Section 42 batati is that where FEMA provision any other law from collide there are. That to FEMA priority, overriding effect, I will get it. Q though, of overriding effect what meaning is? Ans. If two laws of provisions in conflict yes, then FEMA provision effective will remain. Q3. Does FEMA always all laws but dominate status? Ans. No. Overriding effect occurs only when conflict occurs. Situation in applicable would where there is no conflict yes, there other law two together applicable live are. Section 41. Q4. In Section 41 and Section 42 main difference what is? Ans. Section 41 FEMA others laws to not a bar parallel applicability. Section 40 to conflict but to FEMA priority meets is. In the exam this distinction is very asked go is. Q5. Section 42 of need why did you fall? Ans. From legal uncertainty avoid a for. In foreign exchange regulation uniformity, make keeping of for. Give a practical example of Section 42. Ans. If any other law of provision for FEMA permitted transactions prevents, if so, FEMA as provision applicable there will be conflict but Q7. Does Section 42 override criminal laws? Goar? Ans. No. FEMA. Civil law criminal. Laws are objective and area in independent levar. When till no direct conflict yes. Q art. When is Section 42 applicable? No. Would it have been? Ans. When there is no conflict? Yes. When both law each other to complement? Do be. Q. No. Exam wise Section 42 important is? Answer. Because direct MCQs like overriding effect under FEMA come are. Ask Section 41 versus 42 comparative questions go are. Q. Thus. Section 42 one line in explain. Ans. Where any other law from conflict? Yes. There are FEMA provision effective will remain. This is what Section 42 says. Summary is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 43. RBI's power to make regulations. Section 43 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Ans. Section 43 under Reserve Bank of India, RBI. 2. FEMA objectives to applicable to of for regulations make of power gave went is. Q. Though. What are regulations? Would have are? Ans. Regulations subordinate legislation are who? Under the FEMA Act under. By RBI. To regulate foreign exchange transactions of for make go are. Q3. Wise RBI subjects make regulations on can is? Ans. RBI regulations made can is, such as capital account transactions, current account transactions, foreign investment, FDI ODI, acquisition transfer of foreign securities, foreign exchange holdings, remittances, accounts. Q4. In Section 36, rules by central government and Section 43 what difference is? Ans. Section 36 central government makes rules is. Section 43 RBI makes regulations is. In the exam it's CG rules versus RBI regulations very asked go is. Q5. Are RBI regulations legally binding? Are? Answer. Yes. By RBI. Make regulations made statutorily binding would have are and. Their violation FEMA contravention agreed go is. Q6. Can RBI regulations be implemented without the central government? Make go can are? Ans. No. RBI regulations generally require the previous approval of the central government. From make go are. Q7. Are RBI regulations subject to Parliament? Front keep go are? Answer. Yes. By RBI. Make regulations also. Of Parliament before kept go necessary would. Hereinafter Section 44, 48's provisions of according. Give a practical example of Section 43. Ans. RBI has issued a notification under FEMA. Under foreign exchange management, transfer or issue of any foreign security regulations. LRS related regulations. Issued dead. Q. No. Why Section 43 important is it? Exam point of view. Answer. Because. Who makes regulations under FEMA? Direct MCQ comes is. Ask the conceptual distinction of rules versus regulations go is. Q. Thus. Section 43 one line in explain. Ans. FEMA as effective execution RBI has to make regulations for of power in Section 43 gave went is. FAQ Section 44. Regulations to be laid before Parliament. Easy question. Answer. FAQ. Format in gave go doing is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 44. Laying of RBI regulations before Parliament. Section 44 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Answer. In Section 44 by RBI make regulations to. The Parliament of India of before laying of process of provision is. Q. Though. RBI regulations should be passed by Parliament. Front why kept go is uns. Parliamentary oversight ensured 2 of 4. On subordinate legislation, democratic control make keeping of 4. Q3. How many regulations? Time of for the Parliament front keep go are uns. Regulations 30 days in total of for the Parliament front kept go is or one from in more sessions. Q4. If in Parliament regulations shift once is so what would is? Uns. If both houses agreed if yes, then. Regulation modified did go can is or. Annul. Cancelled did go can is. Q5. Modification annulment effect what would is? Uns. Effect prospective would is. First did went work valid livar. Q6. In section 37 and section 44, what difference is? Uns. Section 37 central government rules to the Parliament front keep. Section 44 RBI regulations to the Parliament front keep. In the exam, this distinction is very asked go is. Q7. What regulations can be made without Parliament? Keep applicable yes can are? Uns. Regulations apply, so yes go but under. Section 44, according them after of Parliament in front keep mandatory is. Give a practical example of Section 44. Uns. RBI issued FEMA regulations. He was made a member of Parliament both houses before 30 days of a kept went. Q no. Exam by Section 44. Important is answer. Because there are direct MCQs like RBI regulations are laid before whom? R. Ask questions on rules versus regulations versus parliamentary control go are. Q thus. Section 44 one line in explain. Uns. FEMA as by RBI undermake the regulations was subjected to parliamentary scrutiny. Section 44 of the according to Parliament front kept go is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 45. Power to remove difficulties. Section 45 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Answer. Section 45 under Central Government of India 2. FEMA execution in yield difficulties to away to of power gave went is. Q though of power to remove difficulties what meaning is? Answer. If FEMA is applicable do time any practical procedural problem comes if so. Then central government order notification by him away tax can is. Q3. What is the purpose of Section 45? Under the Act amendment did go can is? Uns. No. Section 45 of use of the Act original provisions to change of for no did go could only. From implementation connected odds removed go can are. Q4. Section 45 under order what form in ongoing would have are? Uns. Order notification of form in. FEMA as objectives of according. Q5. Is the power of Section 45 time limited? Would have is? Answer. Yes. This power is usually of the Act start of after one limited duration till only use of caste, so that the transition is smooth. Q6. In Section 45 and Section 36 43 what difference is? Uns. Section 36 of Central Government making rules power off. Section 43 RBI of making regulations power off. Section 45 removal of implementation difficulties power off. Q7. Section 45 of objective what is? Uns. Smooth transition, FERA FEMA. Practical issues quick solution. Of the Act objectives of effective fulfillment. Give a practical example of Section 45. Uns. FEMA is applicable to be of after on. Some procedural ambiguity, the central government clarificatory order ongoing did. क्यों 9 एग्जाम वाइज सेक्शन 45 इंपॉर्टेंट इज आंसर बिकॉज who can remove difficulties under FEMA like direct MCQs Kamar. Rules regulations versus removal of difficulties distinction of asked go is Q thus section 45 one line in explain ans FEMA as execution income wali difficulties to away to of section 45 gives power to the central government is FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 46 Repeal and Saving. Section 46 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is ans Section 46 FERA Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973 of repeal and from him connected saving provisions from connected is Q though Section 46 according which one laws repealed went answer FERA 1973 FEMA applies to be of with repeal tax gave went. Q3 what is repeal? What meaning is? Ans someone old law to formal form from end tax give. Q4 or saving clause what meaning is? Answer repeal despite. First did went work. Ongoing proceedings. Rights, responsibilities and penalties. Affected no would have been this is called a saving clause R. Q5 what is the scope of FERA? Under start FEMA as proceedings after 2 ambulatory can R? Answer yes. Under the saving provisions of section 46 according of FERA under start of went investigation proceedings. Same law of according continue of go can is. Kuch hai. What is FERA? Under planted the penalties remain valid are? Answer yes. Under FERA under did went violation and that but planted went the penalty. Is valid live are? Q7 Section 46 of need why did you fall? Ans from legal vacuum avoid of for. Ongoing cases safekeeping of for. To smoothen the transition, FERA FEMA of for. Q8 what is the scope of FERA? After did FERA applies to the following acts will be? Answer no. FERA only applies to repeal. First did on the acts performed applicable repeal. After on the acts of FEMA implemented will be. Q no. In section 45 and section 46 what difference is? Ans section 45 removal of implementation difficulties power off. Section 46 repeal and saving of old law FERA. Give a practical example of section 46. Ans if any person FERA was established in 1998 violation did and case pending FEMA was applicable. To be of after 2 he the case is under FERA under only disposed of will go. Q11 exam wise section 46 important is answer because there are direct MCQs like FERA repealed by which act R on repeal versus saving concept question ask go R. Q12 section 46 one line in explain. Ans FEMA repealed FERA gone, but his under did went work and actions under saving clause reasons safe stays are. FAQ Section 47 Power of RBI to make regulations. Easy question. Answer FAQ Format in gave go doing is FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 47 RBI's power to make regulations. Section 47 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Answer Section 47 under Reserve Bank of India RBI 2. FEMA provisions to applicable to of for making regulations of power gave went is. Q though Section 47 of main objective what is? Ans Foreign exchange transactions regulate in detail to do. The broad principles of the FEMA Act operational rules in change. Q3. Why is RBI subjects regulations on canis? Uns. RBI regulations made canis, such as capital account transactions, current account transactions, FDI ODI, acquisition transfer of immovable property, foreign securities, foreign currency accounts, export-import related forex matters. Q4. In Section 36 and Section 47, what difference is it? Exam favorite. Uns. Section 36 Central Government makes rules is. Section 47 RBI makes regulations is. This only rules versus regulations, there is a core difference. Q5. Are RBI regulations legally binding? Are? Answer. Yes. By RBI. Make regulations statutory force keeping R and their violation FEMA contravention agreed go is. Q6. Can RBI regulations be implemented without the permission of the central government? Approval of make gokenar? Uns. No. Under Section 47 as per RBI regulations. Previous approval of central government from make goar. Q7. Are RBI regulations subject to Parliament? Front keep goar? Answer. Yes. RBI regulations Parliament as before kept go mandatory. Section 44 of according. Q8. In Section 43 and Section 47 what difference is? Uns. Section 43 General Regulation Making Power of RBI. Section 47 of FEMA under Specific Regulation Making Authority. In exams often referred to as Section 47 go is. Give a practical example of Section 47. Uns. RBI has implemented the scheme under FEMA. Under Foreign Exchange Management, Non-Debt Instruments, Regulations. Liberalized Remittance Scheme, LRS, Regulations. Issued dead. Q thus. Exam by Section 47. To all is it more important? Answer. Because. Who makes regulations under FEMA? Direct MCQ. Comparison of rules versus regulations versus directions. RBI statutory powers repeatedly asked Castar. Q11. Section 47 one line in explain. Uns. FEMA as effective implementation RBI to make regulations for of power in Section 47 gave went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ. Section 48. Delegation by RBI. Section 48 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is? Answer. Section 48 under Reserve Bank of India, RBI. 2. FEMA under get own delegate powers of power gave went is. Q though of delegation by RBI what meaning is? Answer. When RBI changes its sum, powers bata functions. Any officer or any authority to surrender gives is so that work smooth and fast yes could. Q3. To whom does the RBI delegate its powers? Can is? Uns. RBI can delegate powers can is. Our officers too. Any other authority too. As specified in the notification authorization. Q4. Can RBI delegate all powers? Can is? Uns. No. Only. The same powers of the delegate go canar. Who of the act according be, and whom expressly or impliedly to delegate from of permission yes. Q5. Delegation of objective what is? Uns. Day-to-day forex administration easy make. Increasing operational efficiency. Technical matters appropriate level to handle. Q6. Is the delegation permanent? is uns. No. Delegation. Conditional yes. Withdraw modify of Goken is. Overall control and supervision of RBI of understays is. QSAT. In Section 38 and Section 48 what difference is? Uns. Section 38 Central Government Delegation of Powers by. Section 48 RBI Delegation of Powers by. CG versus RBI delegation asked in the exam go is. QArt. In Section 47 and Section 48 what relationship is? Uns. Section 47 RBI making regulations power of. Section 48 same powers functions to delegate power of. Give a practical example of Section 48. Answer. RBI has withdrawn from FEMA compliance, delegating certain approval reporting powers to its regional offices or designated officers given. Q thus. Exam by Section 48. Important is? Answer. Because. Can RBI delegate its powers under FEMA? Like direct MCQs Kamar. Section 38 versus 48, CG versus RBI. Asked comparative questions Goar. Q11. Section 48 one line in explain. Uns. FEMA S to RBI under your powers officers or delegating to other authorities of power in Section 48 gave went is. FEMA 1999 FAQ Section 49 Repeal Saving Transition. Section 49 of FEMA is related to subject from connected is. Uns. Section 49 transition from FERA to FEMA from connected repeal and saving provisions, transitional provision, to expansion from Batati is. Q though. In Section 46 and Section 49 what difference is? Uns. Section 46 of FERA repeal and general saving. Section 49 transition period in. Permissions. Notifications. Proceedings. Actions. To how is it treated will go. Its detailed framework. In the exam this distinction asked go is. Q13. What is FERA as under gave of permissions approvals granted what happened? Uns. FERA under gave permissions, approvals, exemptions etc. granted. FEMA implemented to be of after to. Then will remain valid until. Till they are not inconsistent with the provisions of FEMA. Yes. Q4. What is FERA as under of notifications orders issued what will be? Uns. Those notifications orders. FEMA as under became means will go. When till they modify rescind no tax gave go. Q5. What is FERA as under start of the proceedings what will be? Uns. Of FERA under start hui investigation, adjudication, appeal. Of FERA according only continue and conclude will be. Even if only FEMA is applicable yes paid yes. Q6. Is FEMA applicable for violations of FERA? Will be. Uns. No. From FERA repeal first did acts past FERA implemented. FEMA implemented to be of after did acts past FEMA implemented. QSAT. Section 49 of objective what is? Uns. From legal vacuum avoid. Maintain continuity of rights and liabilities keep. Smooth transition from FERA, restrictive, to FEMA, facilitative. QArt. Is Section 49 a temporary provision? Uns. Yes. It mainly transition phase to govern authorities. But its long-lasting effects, pending cases etc. Time till taken are. Give a practical example of Section 49. Uns. If any person FERA was established in 1999 violation did and case pending FEMA was applicable. To be of after to he the case. Is under FERA. Under only disposed of will go. क्यों 10? एग्जाम वाइज सेक्शन 49 इंपॉर्टेंट इज आंसर बिकॉज direct MCQs on FEMA transition are repeal versus saving versus transition ask conceptual questions on GOAR. Q11 Section 49 one line in explain. ANS Section 49 from FERA to FEMA shift of ensure continuity of permissions, actions and proceedings during does is. Subscribe for regular updates and expert content. Knowledge grows when you subscribe. Subscribe to learn something new every day.